There's a type of person who gets genuinely excited when plans get cancelled. The kind who says they'll go out, maybe even gets dressed, but secretly hopes something comes up so they don't have to leave. And here's what most people get wrong. They're not antisocial, they're not depressed, and they're definitely not missing out. They've just figured something out that took the rest of us way too long to understand. Today we're diving deep into the psychology of people who genuinely love staying at home. The ones who don't need an excuse to skip the party. The ones who feel more alive in their living room than they ever could in a crowded venue. And by the end of this video, you might realize you're one of them. Or you'll finally understand that person in your life who always says no. Let's start with something most people don't know. Your brain has a baseline level of stimulation. It needs to feel comfortable. Think of it like a thermostat. Some people's thermostats are set high. They need constant action, new faces, loud environments just to feel normal. But others, their thermostat sits low. A quiet evening with a good book gives them the exact amount of stimulation their brain craves. This isn't about being boring or exciting. It's neuroscience. And for people who love staying home, going out doesn't add to their life, it subtracts from it. Every conversation, every new environment, every unexpected interaction costs them energy. And home is where they get that energy back. But there's another layer here that goes even deeper. Control. Think about it. When you're out in the world, you're constantly adapting. Someone's talking too loud. The restaurant is too bright. Plans change last minute. You're forced to smile when you'd rather not. You're performing, even when you don't realize it. Now compare that to being home. You control the temperature. You control the noise. You control who gets access to you and when. For people who value their peace, this isn't just comfort, it's freedom. And for those with anxiety or sensory sensitivities, it's the difference between thriving and barely surviving. Here's where it gets interesting. Research shows that people who spend more time alone tend to have higher levels of self-awareness. They know themselves better because they actually spend time with themselves. They're not drowning out their thoughts with constant distraction. They're sitting with them, processing them, understanding them, and that leads to something powerful: creativity. Some of the greatest ideas in history didn't come from networking events or crowded cafes. They came from solitude, from people who gave themselves permission to think without interruption. Staying home isn't about doing nothing. It's about creating space for something real to emerge. Now let's talk about what society tells us. We're bombarded with messages that say more is better. More friends, more plans, more experiences. Social media makes it look like everyone's living this incredible, constantly moving life. And if you're not out there doing the same, you must be lonely, right? Wrong. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. Loneliness is painful. It's the feeling that you're disconnected when you don't want to be. But solitude is chosen. It's intentional. And for people who love staying home, it's not isolation, it's restoration. Think about the rituals. The morning routine that nobody interrupts, the specific way they organize their space, the comfort of knowing exactly where everything is. These aren't just habits, they're anchors. In a world that feels chaotic and unpredictable, these small controlled moments bring a sense of stability that nothing else can. But here's something we need to address honestly. Not everyone who stays home does it from a place of peace. Some people retreat because the world feels too overwhelming. Because past experiences taught them that going out means getting hurt. Because anxiety whispers that it's safer to stay small. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you stay home because it genuinely fills your cup? Or are you staying home because leaving feels impossible? One is self-care. The other is self-protection. And knowing the difference matters. For those who truly love being home, there's a specific psychological profile. They're often highly introspective. They prefer depth over breadth, meaning they'd rather have one meaningful conversation than 10 shallow ones. They find joy in things most people overlook. The way light filters through a window, the texture of a favorite blanket, the rhythm of rain on the roof. Psychologists have a term for this. It's called low stimulation preference, and it's not a disorder or a flaw. It's just a different way of being wired. These people don't need the world to entertain them because their inner world is already rich and full. There's also something called the introversion advantage. Studies show that introverts and homebodies often excel in areas that require focus, patience, and deep thinking. They're the writers, the researchers, the artists, the strategists, the people who can sit with a problem for hours until they solve it. That's not something you develop at a party. And let's talk about energy management. Extroverts gain energy from being around people. It's like plugging into a charger. But for introverts and those who prefer home, social interaction is the opposite. It drains them. Even good interactions, even with people they love. And that's not rude or cold, it's just how their system works. So when they say no to plans, they're not rejecting you. They're protecting their energy so they can show up as their best self when it actually matters. They're choosing quality over quantity in every aspect of their life. Here's another fascinating piece. People who love staying home often have a stronger relationship with themselves. They're comfortable in their own company. They don't need constant validation or distraction to feel okay. And in a world where so many people can't stand to be alone with their own thoughts, that's actually a superpower. But society doesn't reward this. We celebrate the extroverts, the ones who are always on, always available, always saying yes. And anyone who operates differently gets labeled boring, antisocial, a hermit. But what if those labels are just projections from people who can't understand a different way of living? Because here's the truth. Staying home isn't about avoiding life. For many people, it's about living life on their own terms. It's about rejecting the idea that happiness looks the same for everyone. It's about understanding that rest isn't laziness and solitude isn't loneliness. Now there's a balance here. If staying home starts to feel like hiding, if you're avoiding things you actually want to do because fear is louder than desire, that's worth examining. But if you're turning down invitations and genuinely feel good about it, if you're choosing your couch over the club and waking up the next day grateful you did, then you're not missing out. You're just living differently. And here's what's beautiful about that. When you stop forcing yourself to be someone you're not, when you stop apologizing for needing what you need, you become more authentic. And that authenticity makes every interaction you do choose to have more meaningful. So if you're someone who loves staying home, who feels most like yourself within your own four walls, who doesn't need the world's approval to know you're living right, this is your permission slip. You're not broken. You're not boring. You're not wasting your life. You're honoring your nature. And that's something worth celebrating. Think about the people who changed the world. So many of them were homebodies. Writers who spent years alone with their thoughts. Scientists who locked themselves in labs. Artists who created masterpieces in solitude. The world doesn't just need the loud voices, it needs the quiet ones too. If this video resonated with you, if you finally feel seen, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're going deep into the psychology that most people never talk about. And make sure you click on the next video. It's going to challenge everything you think you know about yourself. And to everyone watching, whether you're a homebody or someone who thrives in the chaos, remember this. There's no right way to live. There's only your way. And the sooner you own that, the freer you'll be. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.